Hey everybody, how we doing today? So this is our daily briefing, and something I've been thinking about is a lot of you may not know much about me, who I am, what we do here on our farm. The channel's been growing a lot in the last year or so, and so I figured with one of these first briefings, I'd give an introduction of myself, who I am, what we do here, and so on, if that's something that you're curious about. So if it's not, you can leave now, but if you want, you can stay here. So we'll just kind of go from square one. My name is Jordan Green. Together with my wife, Laura, we own J&L Green Farm, and we're located in Edinburgh, Virginia. It's about 70 miles west of Washington, D.C., up there in the northwestern part of Virginia. I got into farming as a teenager when my family moved to Virginia from New York. I had grown up in the outdoors. As a kid, I grew up on a 2-mile-long lake, which in New York is called a pond. Down here in Virginia, that would be a very large lake, but it's called a pond there. We moved to Virginia when I was just about 15, and I got my first job working on a farm nearby that was a horse farm, and helped mostly clean out stalls is what I did. But I also worked in 2 poultry houses that they had there, big commercial layer houses, and I got a taste of what confinement agriculture would be for livestock. I knew at that point I really wanted to farm. I enjoyed doing a lot of the different aspects of it, but I did not enjoy working in those poultry houses at all, for reasons that those of you who have worked in them understand. If you have not, you do not understand until you have. So worked there a couple of years. My family had a little homestead deal going on. I milked about a dozen dairy goats, and had that kind of as a little side business. We had chickens. We grew some birds in Salatin style pens. This is back in the late 90s. And processed them with a kettle over a fire, campfire kind of thing, real primitive kind of homestead butchery. I had the opportunity in early 2000s, but it'd be 2001, to go do a 12-month apprenticeship at Polyface Farm. And those of you who are familiar with Joel Salatin and his work and what they do, you know where I'm talking about. For those of you who don't, Joel is one of the kind of pioneers of the back to pasture movement. There's all kinds of terminology people like to use for it now. Pastured, regenerative, sustainable, the most worn out word in agriculture, what have you. But the basic principles are putting livestock into something replicating a natural habitat and allowing the animal natural expression. So you're letting pigs root in the dirt, chickens scratch, cows to graze and raise their calves, and so on. That's what really gave me my introduction to what would now be called regenerative agriculture. The term didn't exist then, but you know what I'm going after. It gave me the exposure to doing that at scale, and it was a very foundational experience for where we are today. And I'll probably go more into that at some point in the future, but did a little bit over a year there, and this was when Polyface was a lot smaller than they are now. So it was just me and one other apprentice and the Salatin family, and then a couple of their relatives basically that were running the operation. After that, I kind of went on the road for a couple of years, went around to some different farms on the East Coast and helped them start their operations. So did some in Maine, Pennsylvania, did a little bit of consulting on some other locations for people who just had questions and wanted help getting things started. But I'd actually go and live with some of these farms, help them get established, get their operation up and going. Took a big pivot in my life in, it'd be late 2003. A buddy of mine, we were at a wedding and we were sitting at the same table, and he said, "Hey man, I don't know if you were still interested, but I'm going to the Marine Corps next year." And so to rewind this a little bit, I had interest in joining the Marine Corps in 2001, but at that time I was homeschooled, and so homeschool graduates were not considered eligible for Tier 1 recruiting into the Marine Corps, which basically meant you were treated like a dropout. So I kind of hard passed at it at that point. But in 2003, lo and behold, war has a way of changing government policies. And so they had reversed the policy where we can now go in as Tier 1 and have, contracts in the field that we wanted. And so, I didn't have a whole lot going on. I'd been doing the farm thing and around the country doing that, but I wasn't tied down really tight anywhere. And I said, you know what? It's something I've always wanted to do. Always wanted to test myself. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to do it. So, called up the recruiter, went through all that stuff, and he and I ended up shipping out to boot camp together in August of 2004. And so I did 5 years in the Marine Corps. Ended up working on F-18s as a 6257, which is airframes and hydraulics mechanic. And I spent my entire enlistment after boot camp and A and C schools with one unit. That was VMFA 312, stationed out of Beaufort, South Carolina. I did 2 tours with them to Asia. So we were in Japan, Korea, Philippines, just doing deterrence stuff for North Korea and training. Never made it to Iraq or Afghanistan, much to my disappointment to this day. That was one of my goals going into the military, but it just did not work out that way, that my unit just never went. I had met my wife, the lady who became my wife, in 2002, and so we were friends along, and we got engaged Christmas of 2004. We got married in 2005, right before I went on deployment, kind of the way it just worked out. So that kind of typical military experience of, hey, we're newlyweds, 30 days later, oh, I'll see you next year sometime, bye. And so, we did that twice while I was overseas. But we decided, towards the end of my enlistment that it wasn't something I wanted to do as a career. My real passion and calling, and whatever word you want to attach to it, my love was for farming and for working with livestock. And so we decided that we were going to get out and come back to Virginia and start a farm. And so that's what we did in 2009 when my enlistment was up. We came back here to Virginia, started our farm, got right into raising pigs. Was our first enterprise that we had. We added egg layers, broilers, sheep, and cows pretty quickly after that. And it was our full-time gig from day one. We had saved up a little bit of money that we lived on. We had some family capital that helped us get going. We had a farm that we were able to lease with a pretty good arrangement. They were looking for a young couple to do something with them. And we were able to get into it full time. So from that to now, that has been our full-time endeavor. And we started from square one, ground zero, basic scratch of having to build up a market, develop enterprises, operational protocols, the infrastructure systems, the gear, equipment, everything had to be designed and built from nothing, really. And so, the first years, they were definitely tough. We were scraping by, just trying to get this thing going, keeping capital, going back into the business, all things that are kind of part of the experience of being a young business owner and trying to get this farming thing going. So we are hitting our 10th anniversary of this farm business this year, which, seems like the 10 years have flown by in a flash. But then when you think about it, there are times that it certainly was, time stood still almost, and you couldn't get some days over with. So, has its ups and downs, and we'll talk more about that as we go on. So that's a little bit about my history, and what we're doing with Farm Builder. It was an idea I had a couple of years ago that there's a lot of YouTube channels out there that do a lot of great stuff for the homestead level, for here's how you do 50 chickens, here's how you do 5 pigs, here's the numbers on that. And those are all fantastic. But what was really missing, and what I felt we could really be helpful to the community with, is how to do these things at scale that support full-time incomes. I'm interested in doing this as a business that pays salary, that yields profit, that grows, and all those things that we should expect a healthy business to do. There is a kind of a misconception, a misnomer in the agricultural community today that it is almost impossible or cannot be done today to start farming businesses and make them full-time enterprises. I think it's 11% of farmers in the United States are deriving all of their income from their farm activities. There are very few full-time farmers anymore. Most of them are part-timing. They're supplementing with a second job. The spouse works in town while the other spouse is there running the farm. There's these different arrangements. And so, it's kind of rare to see that happening these days. And I was not finding a presence on YouTube saying this is how it's done in this regenerative space, of how to do these livestock systems. And so that's our initial goal, was to just show, hey, here's how we do, not 5 pigs, here's how we do 500 pigs in a year, or here's how we do 50 cows instead of 5, or how we do 5,000 chickens, those types of things. From there, it's grown into an incredible community. You may not know here on YouTube, but we have a very large Facebook group called Farm Builder Entrepreneurs, which is over 20,000 people right now, and where we focus specifically on these points of, how are you growing your business? How are you prioritizing profit in your enterprise? What are the methodologies that you are employing in your operation that are helpful to you? And really addressing this farming thing through the lens of business fundamentals, innovation, entrepreneurship, and with an attitude of, we can do this. We will be successful at this, and we will make it a go. There's such a self-depreciating negative tone that you can find in a lot of agricultural circles this day. And it's not saying that these are bad people, but farming and the agricultural community today, especially in the United States, and especially where we are in the eastern part of the United States, there's not a lot to be happy about these days. There's not a lot of positivity in commodity agriculture, and you all know what the issues are. We really wanted to come up hard against that, hey, we can start this farming thing. We can have fun while we're doing it. We can build a profitable business. And yes, it's going to be a lot of hard work. We're not saying it's a walk in the park. But we're not going to be moping around about it. We're going to get after it, as we say. And so that's the purpose of Farm Builder. You've probably seen we do some schools now where we teach, here's how we do these things at scale. You can come out to our farm. We go through all the knowledge, go out in the field. You can see how it's done. Seeing, can cut so much time and expense off of a learning curve where you don't have to reinvent the wheel over and over and over again. You can see, hey, this is how it's done. This is how a simple system works. And this is how you can generate profit from doing it. So that's a little bit what we're about. I wanted to share that with you guys, just a little bit about who I am, where I came from, what we're doing with our farm, what we're doing with Farm Builder, what I hope this video series could be. What I'm wanting to show you guys with this is every day on our farm. Some days there will be posts that'll probably make you depressed. Some days there'll be ones that make you mad. Some days there'll be ones that make you glad. But I want to give you the accurate representation of what it's like to be, a farm owner, someone who is developing and growing a business in today's agricultural environment. Something that's lacking out there, I believe. And just give you guys a real picture. This is what it's going to be like. You'll see good stuff. You'll see bad stuff. We'll talk about controversial topics, I'm sure. We just want to use this venue as a way to open up our farm and our lives and what we're doing. I really don't have a huge plan about where the series of the daily briefing is going to go. We'll see where it takes us. But if you like it, give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, share it. Anything you can do to spread this word, that'd be fantastic. That's all I really ask from you. It's free to watch, but if you could do those things for us, I'd be grateful. So enough rambling for now. Just got in from running the farm today. Sunday. These are the days that I run the farm when people are off. Not a very good day, but we got things done. We've gone from freezing weather and snow to pouring rain to blustery winds, all within the last week. This is a truly insane year for the amount of rain that we've had, and just dealing with the kind of repercussions of a year of heavy rainfall here in Virginia, and just the accumulating and compounding effects those are having. There's victories and there's defeats, but a lot of times the battle is in your own mind to stay positive about things. So we'll check in tomorrow. That's all I got for you guys tonight. And enjoy yourselves out there. Stay dry, stay warm, wherever you are. And remember to get after it. We'll see you again. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.